Hello, I'm Dr. Emily Hart, and if you're a man over 60 who's been struggling with disappointing performance, what I'm about to reveal could change your life in ways you never thought possible. I'm a board-certified physician with over 18 years of experience specializing in men's sexual health and age-related vitality issues, and I've discovered something that most doctors completely overlook. There's a specific vitamin, a nutrient that your body desperately needs, and when men over 60 are deficient in this vitamin, which over 75% are, it's nearly impossible to achieve or maintain strong, reliable performance. But here's the incredible part. When you restore optimal levels of this vitamin, most men experience dramatic improvements within days, sometimes even within hours. Before I tell you exactly what this vitamin is, I need you to understand something critical about what's really happening in your body. If you've been told that your performance issues are just part of aging, or that there's nothing natural that can help, or that you'll need medications for the rest of your life, you've been misled. The truth is that most performance issues in men over 60 aren't caused by aging itself. They're caused by a specific nutritional deficiency that becomes increasingly common as we get older. And this deficiency directly sabotages the biological mechanisms that make firm, lasting performance possible. Let me tell you about Leonard. Leonard was 64 years old when his wife practically dragged him into my office. He was a proud man, a veteran, someone who had always been strong and capable. But over the past 3 years, his intimate life had completely fallen apart. He couldn't achieve firmness at all anymore, and the few times he could get something started, it would fade within moments. The frustration and embarrassment were destroying him from the inside. He'd tried the prescription medications, but they barely worked and gave him such severe side effects that he couldn't tolerate them. Leonard had been to 3 different doctors, and they all said the same thing. It's your age, your blood vessels are getting older, this is just what happens. But I knew better. I ran a comprehensive nutritional panel on Leonard, something most doctors never think to do, and what I found was shocking. His levels of this critical vitamin were less than 20% of what they should be. He was severely deficient, and this deficiency was literally preventing his body from producing the compounds necessary for proper function. I immediately put Leonard on a high-dose protocol of this specific vitamin, and I told him to come back in 2 weeks. But Leonard called me after just 4 days. "Dr. Hart," he said, his voice shaking with emotion, "I don't know what was in those pills you gave me, but last night I performed like I was 40 years old. My wife couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe it. I thought those days were gone forever." 2 months later, Leonard's vitamin levels had normalized, and his performance had not only returned, but was consistent and reliable. He told me that restoring his intimate life had given him back his sense of identity and masculinity. He felt whole again. And all it took was correcting a single nutritional deficiency that every other doctor had completely missed. So what is this hidden vitamin that reactivates performance strength after 60? It's vitamin D3, but not in the tiny amounts that most people take. I'm talking about therapeutic, high-dose vitamin D3 that restores your levels to true optimal ranges. And before you think this sounds too simple to be true, let me explain exactly why vitamin D3 is absolutely critical for male performance and why deficiency destroys your ability to function properly. Here's what most people don't understand. Vitamin D isn't really a vitamin at all. It functions more like a hormone in your body, and it's involved in literally hundreds of physiological processes. But one of its most important roles is in the production of nitric oxide, which is the master molecule that controls blood flow to your most critical areas. Without adequate vitamin D, your body cannot produce sufficient nitric oxide, and without nitric oxide, blood vessels cannot dilate properly to allow the blood flow necessary for firm, strong performance. Multiple studies have confirmed this connection. Research published in the Journal of Sexual Medicine found that men with vitamin D deficiency were 32% more likely to experience performance difficulties compared to men with optimal levels. Another study found that men over 60 with severe vitamin D deficiency had performance scores that were 70% worse than men with adequate levels. The correlation is undeniable, and the mechanism is clear. Vitamin D is essential for the vascular function that makes performance possible, but it goes even deeper than that. Vitamin D also plays a crucial role in testosterone production. Your Leydig cells, which are the cells in your testicles that produce testosterone, have vitamin D receptors on their surface. When vitamin D binds to these receptors, it signals your body to increase testosterone production. Studies have shown that men who supplement with adequate doses of vitamin D3 can increase their testosterone levels by 20 to 30% within just a few months. And as you know, testosterone is absolutely critical for desire, performance, and overall masculine vitality. There's also the inflammation connection. Vitamin D is one of the most powerful anti-inflammatory compounds in your body. Chronic inflammation damages blood vessels and impairs endothelial function, which directly affects your ability to achieve and maintain firmness. When you're deficient in vitamin D, inflammation runs rampant throughout your cardiovascular system, progressively destroying the very mechanisms that make performance possible. When you restore optimal vitamin D levels, inflammation decreases dramatically, blood vessels heal, and function improves. Let me share another patient story that really illustrates the power of this. Gerald was 67, and he hadn't been able to perform successfully in over 4 years. He'd essentially given up. His doctor had prescribed him the maximum dose of prescription medications, and they did absolutely nothing. Gerald came to me as a last resort before accepting that his intimate life was simply over. When I tested his vitamin D levels, they were at 11 nanograms per milliliter. For context, anything below 20 is considered severely deficient, and optimal levels are between 50 and 80. I put Gerald on 5,000 international units of vitamin D3 per day, along with vitamin K2 to ensure proper absorption and utilization. Within 1 week, Gerald reported feeling different, more energized, more vital. Within 2 weeks, he achieved his first successful performance in over 4 years. Within 2 months, his vitamin D levels had risen to 62, and his performance had become consistent and reliable. Gerald cried in my office when he told me what this had meant for his marriage and his sense of self-worth. Now here's what you need to understand about vitamin D deficiency. It's incredibly common, especially in men over 60, and there are specific reasons why. First, as we age, our skin becomes less efficient at producing vitamin D from sunlight exposure. A 70-year-old man produces about 75% less vitamin D from the same amount of sun exposure compared to a 20-year-old. Second, many men over 60 spend most of their time indoors and get very little sun exposure anyway. Third, people living in northern latitudes or areas with significant air pollution get inadequate sunlight for vitamin D production, even if they're outside regularly. There's also the problem of obesity. Vitamin D is fat-soluble, which means it gets stored in fat tissue. If you're carrying excess body fat, much of your vitamin D gets sequestered in that fat and isn't available for use by your body. This means overweight men need even higher doses to achieve optimal blood levels. Additionally, certain medications commonly taken by men over 60, including statins, blood pressure medications, and acid-reducing drugs, can interfere with vitamin D absorption and metabolism. The result is that over 75% of men over 60 are deficient in vitamin D, and most have no idea because doctors rarely test for it. And even when they do test, they often use outdated reference ranges that label you as sufficient when you're actually far below optimal, Many doctors will tell you that a vitamin D level of 30 is fine, but research clearly shows that levels below 50 are associated with numerous health problems, including impaired sexual function. So, how much vitamin D3 do you need to take to restore optimal levels and reactivate your performance strength? This is where most people make mistakes. The standard recommendation of 400 to 800 international units per day is nowhere near enough to correct a deficiency or achieve optimal levels. Based on my clinical experience and the scientific literature, most men over 60 need between 5,000 and 10,000 international units per day to reach and maintain optimal blood levels. Now, some doctors will tell you that's too much, that it's dangerous, but the research doesn't support those fears. Studies have shown that daily doses up to 10,000 international units are safe for long-term use in adults. Vitamin D toxicity is extremely rare and typically only occurs with doses exceeding 40,000 international units per day for extended periods. The real danger isn't taking too much vitamin D. The real danger is remaining deficient and suffering all the health consequences that come with it. Here's exactly what I recommend. Start with 5,000 international units of vitamin D3 daily. Take it with a meal that contains some fat, because vitamin D is fat-soluble and requires dietary fat for optimal absorption. I also strongly recommend taking vitamin K2 alongside your vitamin D3. Vitamin K2 ensures that calcium is deposited in your bones where it belongs rather than in your arteries where it can cause problems. A dose of 100 to 200 micrograms of K2 daily is ideal. After 8 weeks of supplementation, get your blood levels tested. Ask your doctor for a 25-hydroxy vitamin D test. You want your levels to be between 50 and 80 nanograms per milliliter. If you're not in that range after 8 weeks, increase your dose. Some men need 7,000 or even 10,000 international units daily to reach optimal levels. Once you've reached the optimal range, you can maintain it with a daily dose that keeps you there. Let me talk about what you can expect when you start this protocol. Some men notice improvements very quickly, within just a few days, like Leonard. Others take a few weeks to experience significant changes. The speed depends on how deficient you were initially and how quickly your body responds. But here's what's typical. Within the first week, most men notice improved energy and mood. Vitamin D deficiency causes fatigue and depression, and restoring levels lifts that burden quickly. Within 2 to 3 weeks, you'll typically notice improvements in morning firmness. This is a sign that blood flow and vascular function are improving. By week 4 to 6, most men experience noticeable improvements in their ability to achieve and maintain performance. And by 8 to 12 weeks, when your vitamin D levels have fully normalized, you should see maximum benefits, reliable function, stronger performance, increased desire, and restored confidence. I want to share one more powerful story. Raymond was 71 years old, and he'd been married for 48 years. He told me that the loss of his intimate life wasn't just about physical pleasure. It was about connection, about feeling close to his wife, about expressing love in a way that words couldn't capture. He'd tried everything, spent thousands of dollars on treatments that didn't work, and was close to giving up hope entirely. When I tested Raymond's vitamin D levels, they were at 14, severely deficient. I put him on 8,000 international units of D3 daily with K2. The first few weeks he didn't notice much change and started to lose hope again. But I encouraged him to stick with it because I knew his levels needed time to build up. At week 5, something shifted. He called me, excited, to report that he'd woken up with morning firmness for the first time in years. By week 8, he and his wife had successfully been intimate for the first time in over 6 years. When Raymond came in for his 3-month follow-up, his vitamin D levels were at 71, and he told me, with tears in his eyes, that I'd saved his marriage. That's the power of addressing nutritional deficiencies. When your body has what it needs, it can do what it's designed to do. and vitamin D3 is one of the most critical nutrients for male sexual function, yet it's one of the most commonly deficient. It's a tragedy that so many men are suffering unnecessarily simply because this basic nutritional factor is being ignored. Now, let me address some important considerations. First, while vitamin D3 supplementation is safe for most people, there are some conditions where you need medical supervision. If you have kidney disease, certain types of cancer, or hyperparathyroidism, you should work with your doctor on vitamin D supplementation. Second, if you're on blood thinners, talk to your doctor before adding vitamin K2 because it can affect blood clotting. I also want to emphasize that vitamin D3 works best as part of a comprehensive approach to health. While it's incredibly powerful on its own, you'll get even better results when you combine it with other healthy practices. Regular exercise, particularly resistance training and cardiovascular activity, naturally boosts testosterone and improves blood flow. A diet rich in whole foods, vegetables, healthy fats, and adequate protein provides the building blocks your body needs. Stress management through practices like meditation, deep breathing, or yoga helps reduce cortisol, which interferes with sexual function. And quality sleep is essential because testosterone production and tissue repair happen primarily during deep sleep. Let me give you specific supplement recommendations. For vitamin D3, look for a high-quality supplement from a reputable manufacturer. I recommend brands like Thorne, Nordic Naturals, or Life Extension. These companies use third-party testing to verify potency and purity. For vitamin K2, look for the MK7 form, which is the most bioavailable. Many supplements now combine D3 and K2 in one capsule for convenience. Take your D3 supplement in the morning with breakfast. Vitamin D can be slightly stimulating for some people, so taking it early in the day prevents any potential sleep disruption. Make sure your breakfast contains some healthy fats, like eggs, avocado, nuts, or olive oil, to maximize absorption. Consistency is key. Take your supplement every single day without missing doses. It takes time to build up blood levels, and sporadic supplementation won't get you there. Here's something else that's important. Sunlight exposure, while helpful, is not a reliable way to maintain optimal vitamin D levels, especially for men over 60. You would need to expose large portions of your skin to midday sun for 15 to 30 minutes several times per week. And even then, factors like latitude, season, skin pigmentation, and age affect how much vitamin D you produce. Supplementation is more reliable, more convenient, and allows you to achieve and maintain optimal levels year-round, regardless of weather or lifestyle. I also want to address the elephant in the room: prescription medications for performance issues. These drugs work by temporarily increasing blood flow through pharmaceutical manipulation of enzyme systems. They can be effective, but they have several significant drawbacks. They only work for a few hours. They don't address underlying causes. They often have uncomfortable side effects. They're expensive, and they create dependence. You need the pill to perform, which can create psychological issues and anxiety. Vitamin D3 is fundamentally different. It's not a drug. It's a nutrient that your body requires for normal function. It addresses root causes rather than temporarily masking symptoms. It improves overall health, not just sexual function. It has virtually no side effects when used appropriately. It's inexpensive. And it creates independence rather than dependence because you're restoring your body's natural ability to function properly. Many of my patients who start with vitamin D3 optimization find that they can reduce or eliminate their need for prescription medications. Some continue to use the medications occasionally for extra confidence, but they're no longer dependent on them. The goal is always to restore natural function so you can be confident in your body's own capabilities. Let me give you a 30-day action plan. Starting today, purchase a high-quality vitamin D3 supplement with K2, at least 5,000 international units. Take it every morning with a fat-containing breakfast. Get your baseline vitamin D blood levels tested if possible, so you have data to track your progress. Commit to taking the supplement consistently for at least 8 weeks. During this time, also focus on getting regular exercise, eating nutritious whole foods, managing stress, and getting 7 to 8 hours of quality sleep nightly. Track your progress. Keep a simple journal noting your energy levels, mood, morning firmness, and performance. Most men are amazed at how much better they feel across the board when their vitamin D levels normalize. After 8 weeks, get your levels retested and adjust your dose if needed to reach the 50 to 80 range. Once you're in the optimal range, continue daily supplementation to maintain those levels indefinitely. Here's the truth that nobody wants to talk about. Modern life has created widespread nutritional deficiencies that are destroying men's health and vitality. We spend our time indoors under artificial lighting. We eat processed foods depleted of nutrients. We're exposed to environmental toxins that interfere with hormone production. We're stressed, sleep-deprived, and sedentary. All of these factors combine to create the epidemic of performance issues that we're seeing in men today. But you have the power to break this cycle. You can take control of your nutritional status. You can give your body what it needs to function optimally. And vitamin D3 is one of the most powerful tools available to you. It's safe, it's natural, it's affordable, it's backed by solid science, and it works. The question is, are you ready to take action? You don't have to accept diminished performance as your new reality. You don't have to feel like less of a man. You don't have to watch your intimate life disappear. The solution is simpler than you think, and it's available to you right now. Optimal vitamin D3 levels can reactivate the strength, reliability, and confidence that you thought were gone forever. Make the decision today to start this protocol. Get yourself high-quality vitamin D3 with K2, commit to taking it consistently, and give your body 8 weeks to respond. Based on 18 years of clinical experience and hundreds of success stories from men just like you, I'm confident you're going to experience improvements that exceed your expectations. You're going to feel more vital, more capable, more confident, and more like yourself than you have in years. Thank you for watching, and here's to your renewed strength, vitality, and masculine power.